Welcome to Epilogue Podcast, the show where we discuss some stuff that happened on a different show ages ago which nobody really cares about anymore.
Hi, I'm Portponky.
And I'm LeBloc.
Today we're discussing Deep Space Nine, Season 2, Episode 18, Profit and Loss. In this episode, Quark tries to rekindle a relationship with the apparent love of his life, a Cardassian woman known as Natima, whilst she tries to save her two disciples from being given to the Cardassian military. Before we start, I've got a little piece of trivia, which I would rather just get out of the way. This is one of the, biggest pieces of trivia for Deep Space Nine, but it's totally not relevant to this episode, but it was during this episode that it happened. On the 17th of January 1994, at 4:31 in the morning, magnitude 4 and a bit, or 5 and a bit earthquake hit California. Armin Shimmerman, who plays Quark, Edward Wiley, who plays Gul Tiran, and various other actors had all been through makeup at this point because they started at 5 in the morning. The power went out in Paramount Studios. They couldn't phone their families, so Quark and the Gull hopped off in their cars to go find their families. And you can read about it. Armin Shimmerman said he scared a lot of people because first there was an earthquake and second there's an alien driving around asking if people are okay.
That's really fun to imagine.
Yeah, I think the Natima and Garrick as well were there. So this is earthquake and it's a little of aliens. Anyway, that's just a little story. I think they resumed shooting on 19th of January after the aftershocks had settled and etc. You can look it up on Wikipedia if you love earthquake trivia.
As a Californian, of course I do.
I live far away from any fault lines, so I don't know what an earthquake even feels like.
For all you know, we're just making it up, and plate tectonics is not a real thing.
Well, you can get a ruler out and sit watching it move. 2 centimeters a year.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Okay, on to the actual episode.
So, you said apparent love of his life. You weren't convinced?
You were?
Well, no, but I wanted
anyone?
Have you elaborate.
He loves her so much he's never mentioned her. Well, actually, I think it's not that. It's how respectful he was to her in general. I wouldn't really say he was respectful, but by Ferengi standards, he was not acting anything like a Ferengi.
Yeah, by Ferengi standards, he was unreasonable and insane.
Well, they're misogynist dicks, and suddenly he's on his knees begging for her life and blessing the ground she walks on. It doesn't at all gel with the Ferengi.
So it bothers you that he deviates at all?
I mean, it's nice he's not being as much of a misogynist as usual, but in terms of a work of fiction, it's inconsistent. I thought so anyway. Did you?
Yeah. It's at odds with what we've been told about the Ferengi. And yeah. But I still found the back and forth between Quark and the love interest much better than Kira in Creepy Man.
Oh god, yeah. But that's not difficult. The back and forth between Quark and Odo was more friendly than between Kira and Bareil. Let's just call him Barry from now on.
Alright. They did create this problem for themselves where the Ferengi have this horrendous view of women, so you can't really create any sort of convincing storylines of love and romance that involve Ferengi.
Yeah, which is a shame because there's so many Earth idioms about love and money. So they kind of wrote themselves out of a lot of that.
You mentioned that their attitudes toward women were established in Next Gen. Am I remembering that right?
I believe so, but I can't say for sure, but I'm reasonably sure.
Looks like you're right on the money with this one. The Ferengi attitude towards women was established in Star Trek: The Next Generation Season 1, Episode 5, The Last Outpost.
Well, anyway, even if it's not, they've said it here, and so they have to work around that, and it's a shame.
Yeah, it's one of these decisions that I wonder if they regretted it later on. I don't know, it's interesting to treat misogyny and sexism and to give it a dramatic angle to assess or discuss the issue, but I think they just made it too severe in this case to the point where they can't actively discuss it.
Yeah, the audience can't overcome what they've said. It's too high of a barrier.
Yeah, I mean, if Ferengi females showed up to the extent that Quark and other Ferengi have said, in the capacity that they've said, then it would not be a family show anymore.
It would be for Ferengi family.
But they're disgusting trolls, and Kira hates them. Aside from the Ferengi angle, there's also the Cardassian angle in this.
Right, and we also have another character who deviates heavily from the established stereotypes, and that's Garrick, whose presence is always welcome.
Yeah, he's a fun guy. Oh wait, sorry, I mean he reminds me of a mushroom.
Do mushrooms just murder people and then crack a joke? Because that's what Garrick did.
Is this the first time he's killed someone on the show?
Oh, on the show, I think so. But he did it so nonchalantly, I have to assume he's done it before.
Yeah, he didn't seem like a first-time murderer in that instance.
No, not at all. Unless he can fake calmness really well.
Oh, well, he probably can.
That's true.
He seems unperturbable.
At the start of the episode, we had yet another ship struggling to function near Deep Space Nine, and after you pointed this out, it just sticks out so much now. They really lean on that.
It always only just gets there. It's an easy thing for them to write in. It helps the show move on. I will forgive it because I don't want to see a show about some dudes just working an office job.
And they have shown it's a treacherous journey, so it's reasonable.
It didn't come through the wormhole.
Oh, right, because they're Cardassians. Space is dangerous.
Yeah, they got hit by a meteor shower. But that actually annoys me from a physics point of view.
Yeah, shouldn't you know about that and avoid it?
Well, you don't really need to avoid it. You could just set course directly for it and fly it at warp speed. Asteroids and stuff like that are incredibly far apart. Space is ridiculously big.
How big is it?
Oh, quite large.
Okay.
For example, the asteroid belt in our solar system, if you can see one asteroid, you would need very high-resolution scientific equipment to even figure out where another asteroid is. There's extremely astronomically unlikely you'd have two inside visual range at one time. And that's quite a dense asteroid field.
Well, maybe the asteroid belts in this quadrant are much more dense.
Yeah, the whole quadrant is like Lilac Wars.
It's just lousy with asteroids.
So much stuff.
So the episode is called Profit and Loss, and we don't get a rule of acquisition.
Yeah, we do.
We're teased one.
Yeah, he mentions the 223rd rule of acquisition.
All we know about that is that it's the 223rd rule.
No, a bit more than that. He says, I am successful, but... So it's obviously got to reflect on success in some way.
There is always more profit to be made, or something.
Success is a relative term. It could be anything. I'm actually a bit sad that he didn't say it.
Yeah, he let a woman interrupt him and,
Yeah.
and not finish his speech. That is not Ferengi-like.
He also tried to give away free drinks, valuable military tech, got himself involved in a lot of dodgy stuff for no real profit.
Well, free drinks, that's a time-tested tactic. Casinos do that.
Yeah, he gives people free slips to gamble with as well.
Liquor people up, lower their inhibitions, have them make more poor decisions.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. But he did give away the cloaking device. That's surely worth a tidy sum.
It also puts him in danger. Odo has already warned him.
Well, Odo said don't sell it, so maybe he gave it away because he knew he was already rumbled.
Yeah, and you can't make profits. Well, you could make profits while you're in jail, but it's more difficult. It's an imposition to profit.
This episode did something that's like the opposite of what I usually complain about. Instead of not tying up plot threads, it kind of did tie up all the plot threads, but in a way which makes no sense. So Odo screwed up a prisoner transfer completely. He would probably be sacked for that.
Yeah, he would be immediately fired. He disobeyed a direct order.
Yeah. And then Garrett murdered a Cardassian military official, just like that. And
there's no evidence, though.
Well, sure there is. Probably. There's science-y evidence.
Some murder residue.
They know when the doors opened.
Yeah.
But at least there's going to be a massive investigation. They're not going to just say, oh, he's gone? Oh well.
He's dead. Find someone else to promote.
Kill us if he turns up.
As far as Odo, the only thing I could think of was that he's the head of security, so he can override Sisko's command, but that doesn't make sense.
He can't overrule the Bajoran provisional government.
Yeah, he's not that high on the ladder.
So I guess it just leaves a bunch of questions that are almost certainly never going to be answered.
He's either incompetent for letting them escape somehow, or he directly disobeyed. Either way, he would be fired. And he can't just say, I did it for love at his trial.
Well, he did it for his love of justice.
The quickest way to Odo's shape-shifted heart is justice.
I've got a few little things I jotted down, which I picked up on. You could call them criticisms if you want.
I do want to call them criticisms.
Okay, well, criticisms then. Okay, first one. Cardassia still has Bajoran prisoners, except in the three-parter at the start of this season, they recovered Bajoran prisoners, and Cardassia said, oh, that's the last of them. Not serious, because they could have lied. But considering how eagerly they handed those ones over, it's odd that they wanted a prisoner transfer to give these ones back. I don't know. It was a, I feel, poor plot device to use.
Yeah.
Another obvious one, this happens in a lot of episodes. They had weapons on the promenade.
Oh, right. Odo despises weapons on the promenade.
They had his force field set up to stop them. I think they must have switched them off a while back because there's been a lot of weapons on the promenade. throughout the season, in the last season.
Perhaps a direct order from the Bajoran provisional government that people must be allowed to carry weapons on promenades.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. They love guns. The other thing, and I'm not quite sure on this, but I think Raquel, was that the female student Cardassian?
I don't remember her name.
Okay. She's missing Cardassian torso makeup in one of the scenes. I think
I missed that.
I only noticed because Natima, they both had kind of low-cut tops. And I kind of noticed that Natima has a kind of Cardassian lizard skin cleavage going on.
Yeah.
And then when Raquel was in the bar, it caught my eye that she didn't have that. I don't know.
Along similar lines, I almost never notice any sort of costume malfunctions or anything like that. But there was a scene with Quark where his coat button was terribly askew, and it was really distracting.
Well, that can happen.
Yeah, but when the camera angle would change during that scene, it would be fixed.
Oh, continuity.
So that inconsistency bothered me.
Well, Garrick can sort that out. I'm sure one day he'll sell clothes to someone not under the pretense of conspiring against them.
I don't know. He's a slithery guy.
I thought his conversation with Quark was pretty good.
Yeah, it had layers, such as some pieces of clothing.
Puff pastry?
Puff pastry shirt.
It was good. They were on a level. They both had their cards hidden. And then at the end, Quark says, "Oh, you'll have to deal with me." And Garrick kind of doesn't take that very seriously. Like, he's on a slightly different level in that regard.
Yeah, Quark doesn't realize Garrick will murder you and then make a joke immediately after.
Well, he's a warm and friendly guy. He's just having a good time. So we did learn a few things about Garrick. He is exiled from Cardassia.
Although we don't know why, it may have something to do with murdering people.
What's your guess?
Murdering someone.
Oh, okay. That is
What did
something
you guess?
that's to do. Well, I know why he's exiled.
Oh.
I've seen it all.
I thought they just never addressed it.
What? Yeah, well, they get around to it eventually.
That would be a weird plot thread to leave unaddressed.
Unaddressed?
I didn't even mean that one.
That's how good you are. I guess that pun really sewed the podcast together. No, that I apologize. I'm
I
sorry.
apologize for trying to think of something else to
Oh god.
add on to that.
An extension, if you will.
You.
So, what's the quote o'clock news?
Before you can be loyal to another, you must be loyal to yourself.
Did Odo say that?
It was Bashir when speaking with Garrick.
Is that when he was quoting himself?
Yes, it was.
That's... Oh my goodness. Quoting yourself is... I don't know. It's a very teenage thing to do. Isn't that just a flip-flop of to fool your enemies, you must fool your friends?
I've never heard that one. Once I heard Bashir say that, I kept thinking of before you can love someone, you must love yourself.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of sayings that have a similar sentiment.
It made me think of Quark and how the only way to explain his love is that he is someone who is fiercely loyal to himself. He's all about furthering his own profits. So maybe that's why he's capable of loving someone else, because he does love himself.
He's number one in his books.
Who's number two? Odo? Secretly?
Well, yes, it would be a big secret. Only Quark knows in his heart. Or hearts, if Rengi may have multiple hearts, I don't know.
That would make sense. They need all that blood to be pumped to the multiple brains.
They don't have multiple brains, they just have quadrants instead of
okay.
hemispheres, or whatever humans have.
It's a lot of brain matter, at any rate.
It's a lot of ear wax.
Oh no.
I can't believe I said that. Here's a little quiz. Who died because they can't count to 2?
I don't know.
It was Gul'Tiran, because Garrick clearly had 2 phasers and he only snatches 1. And then Garrick just shoots him dead with the other one.
Counting is not emphasized in Cardassian academics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To be honest, I didn't really understand the whole exchange at the end. Garrick disagrees that they should die, but decides to start killing them anyway. And then the guy turns up and he says, well, I want to kill someone. And you're kind of a Norse, so...
In one part of the episode, Garrick walks right into Ops, and I thought, so anyone can just walk into Ops? That seems dangerous. It's as if a person could just walk into the cockpit of a plane.
Yeah.
And he's a simple tailor.
He could have a pair of scissors. He could start running around with the scissors.
Oh, man.
So dangerous. Well, it was made in the 90s, so maybe if it was made nowadays, they'd think more about security and how that is affected by people. Oh well. I think it's time to call it a rip. A wrap. Rip, R.I.P., Gul'Tiran.
Garrick could fix that rip right up.
Oh, stick a safety pin in it.
Done.